It's James Steinhubel, TVU on the Culture Channel, and I'm here with Giselle Denis, a fine artist and live painter from here in Sherwood Park. How are you doing, Giselle?
Doing really well. Yourself?
Excellent, excellent. So good to see you.
Yeah,
And
likewise.
you have bright countenance, a nice big smile. So we're in the middle of COVID. How are you doing it?
Well, I'm doing great. You know, an artist's life is kind of funny because you're stuck in the studio all day, so it doesn't look a whole lot different for me, other than the fact that my son is here with me all day, my 10-year-old. So balancing motherhood and working from the studio, but I have no problem being home all day, here in the studio all day. I'm getting a lot of painting done, so that's good.
That is good.
And so, yeah, getting lots of work done, and we're getting our groove on with how homeschooling looks, or they call it emergency schooling now. I guess they're not calling it homeschooling, but yeah, we're doing good. As best as we can be doing, we're doing great.
Excellent. So what sort of new things are in the way that you're doing your art and expressing your art since this new time?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure what you and the audience knows about me, but I'm the performance painter at the Fairmont Hotel McDonald. So for the last 6 years, Thursday nights, I perform my paintings live for an audience. So in a short period of time, like 2 hours, I'll make a 5-foot wide landscape painting. Impressionism is my style, lots of color, lots of movement, lots of texture. And I have the ability, over the years, I've developed this ability to create a painting in a short period of time where people watch the whole process from start to finish. So now that the hotel's closed for COVID, actually during the middle of COVID, I was stuck in Dubai. I painted a hotel there for a month each year. And so coming home was interesting, but we made it home. And so I've had to think of ways, well, how do I stay in front of people? How do I still have an audience? So I decided a bunch of singer-songwriter friends, they are still performing on live streaming. So I thought, well, I can still do that. And I thought, what better place to do it than here in the studio? So on Thursday nights, people can tune into Facebook and Instagram and still watch me create my paintings from start to finish. And for me, the art is all about people and connections and the feeling you feel when you look at it, when you're watching it being made. And I talk through painting. And when I'm live painting, I might be getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm live painting, it's all about communicating with people and then interacting with me when I'm painting. A lot of artists they like the privacy of the studio and the intimacy there of creating, whereas I have that time and extra of that now, but I've been able to develop this thing that I do with the live painting for the last so many years, make it so that people feel like they're a part of the process with me and they influence even the name of the painting. And after I finish the piece, I talk about it online and I post the photo of the painting, but it's not just a painting of pretty flowers, it's the story behind it. Because they always say, like, I actually didn't know this about business, that your story is so important for what you do, and that's what helps people connect to what you do. And so I've been able to take my images and my art and my process and really involve people and welcome them into my creative mind and process to the public studio space. So I've been able to make it public still by inviting people live streaming on Thursday nights, 5 o'clock. You can tune in and watch me paint here live from the studio. And I'll do like hour and a half, like enough time where people can hop on, hop off, in and out and ask questions. It's a bit tricky because compared to a singer-songwriter who's facing the screen and sees all of the questions in front of them being asked, you know, I'm facing the easel. So it's constantly turning back and looking at the people and trying to stay connected. So it's a learning curve for me. It's challenging to, number one, make a great painting, 2, stay connected, answering questions, making people feel like they're part of the process with me and giving them the freedom to enter the studio with me. Just like, you remember Bob Ross from the 70s with the big afro, and he had his half-hour show, and he just made people feel like they were part of that process of creation with him. And so, I mean, I'm not Bob Ross by any means, but I did like his model of, it just brings people into this calming space of, like, especially right now, what we need is an escape from, or maybe not an escape, but like a distraction or something different to do. There's lots of things you can watch online right now. And so to offer what I do, maybe people would have been intimidated to come to see me painting at the Hotel McDonald. And, you know, maybe that's not their thing, but they can sit at home on their couch and just watch me still create this painting, and they didn't have to go anywhere. And so, yeah, it's been an awesome way to stay connected to my audience.
Yeah, and that getting ahead of yourself is interesting, because you were, you know, covering a lot of what I wanted to talk about. But
I'm sorry.
that's okay. It's okay. It helped me. It helped me. It, you know, brought us to where you are right now, which is excellent, because, you know, painting at the Hotel McDonald, that's a pretty high profile and significant role to play as an artist in Edmonton. So yeah, there's marketing, and you weigh yourself how many people show up and all these things. But still, that being said, the sheer function of what you're doing. So I know you take it serious. I know that you would take the fashion that you would wear, and how you would be centered and balanced, you know, to be prepared to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're at home, so the busyness or the psychological you know, packaging that comes around all our work is gone. Right now, here you are at work. So what? Now all that other prep is different. So how do you bring yourself to that decision point to begin? What's different now at home?
When I'm live streaming, like when I'm still performing?
As opposed to
Yeah.
when you were at the hotel.
Honestly, it's a lot different, but it's a lot of the same. So when on a normal time of the year, when I do have to pack up my things and go down to on location to paint, my whole day is set aside for that one evening. So from the time I get up, my head is already painting the thing in my mind, you know, and I'm preparing myself mentally in all of the ways I have to shift from home, to shift to being in front of people, and also creating in front of people, and then speaking to people while I'm creating. And I'm I'm pretty introverted, but I have to shift my introverted self into an extroverted sort of, not a persona, but maybe a little bit. Like, you have to turn on your your
performing.
actor.
Yeah, you're performing. Yeah.
I mean, it's still me, but I have to really shift in my head. So it's actually really exhausting for me as someone who, you know, artist painting in the studio. So I have to prep my mind. I have to prep what I'm bringing. It takes me a whole day. And then I make sure that I take a rest. Like, rest is so important, to rest all of the ways before I go and create, because it's so exhausting and draining. So really, on any Thursday now, even from home, I thought it would be different, and it kind of is, but it's not. I don't have the driving back and forth, of course, and the loading of the things into the vehicle and the loading out and the setup. But I still have to pay attention to lighting, and the studio has to be all set up and ready, shifted into the perfect lighting. I've got extra lighting. I've got, it takes me half a day to set up. People don't see behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. So, and then plus the rest I need to take beforehand, the managing, what's my son going to do for the time that I'm occupied down here? Just managing okay, well, I'm painting during supper hour. My family's got to take care of themselves. All the things that people don't really think about. So it's different, but a lot of the same. It's still a lot of work. Mm-hmm. I do enjoy the fact that I don't have to drive anywhere and load out and set up and tear down and come home at midnight on a Thursday. I'm done in an hour and a half, 2 hours of the painting time. But it's the prep time before, and then it's the cleanup afterward.
I hear you.
But I love what it's done for my career, being on location, any given place, but specifically my home base there at the Fairmont, because of the clientele and the people that the eyes that get to see my work coming and going all over the world. That's created such a huge network for me, and a base of just the types of people that hang out at those places has built and brought into my career. I've been there, I say, 6 years. So, and then to see those same people, you know, depending on where they are in the world, they can connect and still see me in the studio. So it's nice for them to see that, she's not necessarily wearing a nice dress right now. She's at the studio. I'm still wearing my apron. I still have my name, and I'm still I've done my hair and become presentable to still be here, but it's nice for them to see me in a different environment, my own environment. And it does kind of feel funny because not like this, like I don't hear people talking, they're asking questions and you can see and so I feel like I'm talking to myself for an hour and a half, so that's kind of weird. So
interesting. And,
yeah.
And you're good with that. That's that speaks to the depth of your character. Now, you know what? I'm going to try something here. I'm going to share screen and just see if. Tell me when you can see it. Can you see it?
Here I go. Oh, yeah, I see that.
This is Giselle's webpage. So GiselleDenis.com. So I've got all sorts of things open. Do I have any other interviews open up top? No. Just let everybody know who's next.
Yeah.
So so tell me what's the I'm looking at your artwork here. What is the major, you said it's Impressionism? Is that what it is?
My style is Impressionism. So realism is the opposite, right? Realism would be, let's say, a portrait of someone where it looks like a photograph. It's like so true to life. It's very real, which is the art I was taught. My mother is an artist. She taught me realism. And that's when people were telling me like, you're so talented, you have promise. They were buying my work at like 14 years old. People were already buying my art. And for a decent amount of money. And so that kind of turned me into an entrepreneur really early on. And so learning the foundations of drawing, once I decided to pursue it more full time since I got married about 17 years ago, I discovered, after creating every day and painting every day and really trying to hone my craft, I discovered I'm not a realist at heart. I'm I'm an impressionistic painter at heart. So like when you compare it to like a master painter like Monet, he's my favorite painter. Sorry, I'm getting messages. Get out of here. So I developed, when you're creating art every day for years on end, like 10,000 hours in, right? That's when they say you're like a professional or a master at. I wouldn't say I'm a master at painting by any means, but I put in enough time and hours in that I've developed a style that looks like me, that looks like my work. Like this is from what people tell me. Like I can recognize a Giselle Denis painting anywhere. And honestly, that just comes from all the work I've done of painting every day for how many years now. Like on average, I paint 450 paintings a year. And they're big, like they're 5 feet. Paintings are huge. I don't know if you can see. Well, right now you can't see, but and so the consistency, the discipline of painting in the studio every day. Oh, geez. Sorry, my friends, my husband's, no. Okay, yeah. Everyone's talking to me. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's
home
Zoom at the home studio.
Yeah, no, put those in the fridge, honey. My son's a baker, and he's doing complicated baking. He's made puff pastry from scratch. He's a bit of an artist himself.
Wow.
That story is actually really interesting too. He became this baker because of my experience when I go paint in Dubai. Did I mention Dubai yet? That experience came out of me painting at the Fairmont here, actually. About 2 years into painting at the Fairmont, I was approached to do some painting abroad, and I was looking for the opportunity, and I knew someone in Dubai and they invited me. So my family goes once a year to Dubai at the Raffles Hotel, and I paint there for a month. We live at the hotel and I paint for them about 4 or 5 days a week, which has opened so many amazing doors. I could talk to you for hours just about that. But back to your question about Impressionist style, and that comes just from when you can discover what your style is. Like when the Beatles play their song, you know it's the Beatles song, because they found their style, they found their voice. And so what I've been able to do over the years, not intentionally, it just happens. When you've painted and played that song thousands and thousands of times, you develop this thing that people recognize. So
no, it's good, and I that showed me, of all the things I know, right? I know very little about the different kinds of art, and like, is it modern, is it abstract, and but impressionism, and I just wish I knew a little bit more, and I could have asked some better questions. But the
No,
one
your
thing that,
questions are great.
to me, the art is the sublimest form of information and data. Whether it's painting or sculpture or music, and it's a big part of a community. To so
Mhm.
to have artists in our day and age, in our way of life, and the way that we need to earn a living and make a living and spend a living, that you've been able to find a way to do that and to be successful at it. It brings such hope. It's such a great story. So as you are, you mentioned one artist, you mentioned Monet. I imagine there's others that you uh, you know feel inspired, not inspired, but touched by.
Mhm.
So you know when you is there ever a time when you're applying a technique to a painting that you realize that you were touched by a great one of the masters, and just feel that moment of reflection? And if so, could you share in a moment like that?
Yeah, there's been many. Before I knew of Georgia O'Keeffe, she's a famous painter that used to do giant blooms. So she would do like I don't even know how big they were, but 7, 8 foot canvas, and it would just be one flower, but all the darks and lights and the folds of the petals, it looked very abstract. Well, I was doing that style at Mueller when I was kind of figuring out what my style was, and I didn't know of her or her work or anything. These giant blooms on one canvas, and people were saying like, that looks like Georgia O'Keeffe type of work. And then I watched a documentary or a short clip somewhere of Monet in his garden, and the way he held his brush. And I didn't know much about him, and about to see, like, it was actual footage of him at work, and he held his brush. I can show you with my. He didn't hold it like this and wasn't working like tiny. He was very loose. He held it at the end, and he just stood back and smoked a cigarette, and just the way he just touched the paint with the end of his brush, and then he would just touch the canvas, and these little touches turned into this masterpiece with these beautiful flowers and water lilies. And I was like, I loved his loose approach, and then to make something so beautiful, and his color choice. So I find when I'm creating, I've been able to develop this style where it's less contrived and controlled by using the end. It's holding the back end of the brush and really loosening and letting the painting take you where it wants to go, rather than you telling the painting what you want it to be. And so if that's too, I don't know.
No,
You
that's
get what I'm
good.
trying to
That's
say?
good. That's good. That's
Yeah. So I really liked his approach. If so, like, he's so loose in his, and he really found his voice, and he has a style that, like, all the greats have. Like, that's definitely a Picasso, that's definitely a Dali painting. And so I don't know, like, no, I don't paint for fame or fortune, but I hope that when I die one day, people recognize, like, those are Giselle's paintings. So
That's beautiful. They will, and it's this is a and not only is this part of the the media legacy that you're leaving, but the work that you're doing on Thursday. It'll be just as significant in your body of work as the physical copy of your work. So I applaud you for that. I know
oh,
it's a struggle, and you're feeling that artistic, creative struggle to generate them. So it's good. It's good. So
yeah.
that, being a person who is constantly creating and recreating yourself, and not only that, but the products and services that you're involved in is creating. You have such a positive and bright, flowing countenance in these times. From that perspective, what could you share with our viewers at this time that would be helpful?
Yeah, for me, obviously, like, you choose happiness, you choose positivity. People, nothing can make you happy. But I choose and strive for that daily. On a daily basis, I decide I'm not gonna let things bother me. Like, not that things don't, but for me, the thing that's helped me stay, like, I have a very positive partner too. So he's always, if one of us isn't feeling 100%, the other one holds the other one up. And so Sorry, not right now. Sorry.
That's good.
My
That's
son is
good.
talking.
That's good. That's good.
I lost my train of thought. Oh, I was going to say, the thing that's helped me is trust. So what I mean by that is I get up in the morning and I just go, okay, here we are again, another day of the thing we're going through right now. And I just have to trust that everything's going to be okay. I don't have any other choice. I have to choose not to worry. And I'm a songwriter too. I know I do all the things, but I actually
Great.
studied music. So when you asked me earlier about what I studied music, and my art training comes from my artist mother. And so back to the positivity and the trust is I've had to make a decision every day to just trust that, you know what, paint it and they will come. Paint it whether you have a sale or not. Paint it whether you feel it or not. Paint it whether you have fear or anxiety or worry. I might still have those things, but I do it anyway because I'm trusting that it's going to be okay, that my business will be okay, that the world will open up again, that people will still need art and feel that art is important. Like people are still looking at their blank walls right now and going, you know what, I just need some color, some hope, some uplifting. And the underlying theme of my paintings is hope. And we kind of came up with that idea, my husband and I, because on my work is, I have a bunch of things that I do, but part of it is charity work. And I had a painting that sold for $50,000 with Little Warriors charity. I was doing a live painting for their charity gala, and it sold for $50,000, and all of that money went to the charity. And my husband and I were like, what just happened? Like, that's insane. And we figured we may as well do something with that. The universe is telling us something. So we decided to try and raise $1 million for charity. And so since then, my art's raised close to $700,000. And this is just like one painting at a time, one sale at a time, generous people bidding on the paintings, and the money is all going to the charity. And I feel like when you're doing it for the right reasons, like I'm not doing it, like I said, I paint because I love it, first of all. I paint because I know it's not just for me. I've been given this gift, this talent, this ability to share. And whether that means like donating a painting or donating my own money or my time or whatever, I feel like the universe gives back what you give it, right? Mm-hmm. Tenfold. Mm-hmm. So when you have, even when you feel like you don't have enough to give, but you give anyway, like there's so much like lessons to be learned in the giving sense, in the generosity sense. I don't have $700,000 or $1 million of my own money to give, but if I can help raise that much with paintings and working really hard, I think that also helps what am I trying to say? Did I answer your question? I don't know.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Oh, it's good. It's good. It's good. And, that's good. I had many more questions. So, and we've taken
maybe we can do it again.
Yes, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That would be great. So
Part two.
Yes. So, so on that note, Giselle Denis, fine artist, live painter, with me, James Stein, who will TV you on the Culture Channel. Thank you so much, and we'll definitely be talking again.
Thanks, James. I love it.